You probably remember this one though, 1992 as well. Rick Rude for the US title. Like that's a pretty big match. What was that like?
Man, let me explain something to you. That was a rough day because the difference between Rude and Austin, me and Austin got along. Rude hated my father, which then in tech hated me.
Yeah.
And so that night we were at the Georgia Mountain Center in Gainesville. And what people don't know, they called it Saturday Night Live, but there was nothing live about Saturday night. They were all pre-taped. And so you would go and show up at this arena and there could be 50 matches, 40 matches. And that night I walk in and it is, look, I had 3 matches that night. Rick Rude, every one of them. And I'm like, what in the heck is going on? I had no idea. I'm like, what the, you know?
Mm.
And so they brought an idea. And the idea was, and this has happened in wrestling, you know, many, many times, that I'm going to be paired against a guy I should not be wrestling, and he is going to beat the living shit out of me, but I'm not going to give up.
Yeah.
So the first match, and you know, and then I crawl to him and crawl to him and crawl to him. You know, Medusa is there. She's hitting me. She's slapped. You know, I'm just getting my ass whipped. And so then the next week, the only difference is I get my butt kicked again, but I don't stop, like the old Terminator, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the third time, I can't remember. I mean, the third time maybe we go to a draw or something like that. I can't remember exactly what happened,
Mm.
but the whole idea was you take someone that should not be competing for a title around one of the more famous wrestlers of all time. And the idea is that they forget just how young you are because you're in the ring and you're showing guts and you're not stopping. And so what it did for my career was like go whoom. I mean, it threw gas on the fire just by me being able to brush up against Rude. Now let me tell you what, Rude did not like it. He didn't want it. He was pissed off. But not to go into too much, but me and Rude ended up going head to head in the locker room, and you know he's passed away, and you know he put me through a lot of stuff, you know, being mad all the time and all that. And so one day Sting said, "Your rookie year's over. Take him out." And so we got into it. He got a little choked out, and you know, kind of got stretched out a little bit, and it was in front of all the boys, and he was known as a badass, right? And it was in front of all the boys, and he didn't take it lightly. Matter of fact, I remember after I let him off, all the guys were like, "Oh my gosh, Eric Watts just tore Rick Rude up." He got pissed off and walked out. You know, I think he tore his shoulder. You know, because I jammed him a few times and cement and a few things, and he was so mad that he walked out. And he walked outside to get some air, and a guy said something to him. Well, he punched the guy. When he punched the guy, it broke his palate. It broke it. So then he was pissed off. So then the police are called. So now I'm on a phone call. This is all before the matches that night. I didn't have him that night, and then all of a sudden, I feel someone lift me up, and I'm on a payphone. And he goes, "What are you going to do now?" Well, I mean, I've wrestled and done submission fighting my whole life. It's called a grapevine. I just grapevine his leg with my leg. I said, "Hold on just a second." I put it down and I did a switch, and I just picked him up and pushed his face right into because there's a concrete wall where the phone was. I said, "That's what I would do." I said, "Bro, you need to leave it alone." He goes, let me down, please let me down." And I let him down. Now none of the boys are there. This is like he could have come up behind me with a chair or whatever, nailed me. And he goes, "Man, holy crap!" And so I let him go. Well, I end up seeing him. I think we had TV back in Atlanta, and I ended up seeing him. And he pulled me aside and he said, "Eric," he goes, "I am so sorry." He goes, "I had all my hate towards your father and some of the stuff and." I thought I was going to take out on you, and you made me look like a fool, and you basically just whooped my ass in front of all the guys that have heard about me being a street fighter and a boxer and Golden Glove and all that. And he said, and to top it off, he goes, I'm probably going to get sued for like $250,000. I see. I didn't know that night. He goes, I broke a guy's palate when I hit him. I was so mad at you. And he goes, man, I come and grabbed you. He goes, you just went right behind me and lifted me in like 1 second, like I wasn't there. I said, Rick, it's the difference between understanding grappling, like shoot grappling and things like that. I said, it's not that big a deal. Here's the good side of the story. After that day, he would go up and say, hey, on some of these house shows, put Eric with me.